turn. Indicator left down the slope. What a shot. What a shot. Is it? Oh, would you believe that? Rory McIlroy. What a round of golf. It's one outside the Augusta course record. Here it comes. Oh my goodness. This is way more aggressive than I anticipated. Oh, man! What a shot! I'd say that's pretty good. Whoa!
Good evening, golf fans. Welcome back to the Putting for Dough DFS show, where we have finally reached major number one of the season. We are let's just call this the ceremonial pod, shall we? This is the ceremonial pod to the Masters, opening the Masters this week. Special guests joining us this evening was supposed to be Greg Norman, but his invite got lost, unfortunately. Gary Player was the other we had lined up, but some pretty poor comments in the run-up to the Masters. So we've got rid of Gary, and instead we've got Jack, who has come dressed as Gary Player this evening. And we've also got Mark, who's come dressed as Mark this evening. So... How are you both doing, fellas, on this auspicious occasion, Masters Week?
I'm just glad you turned up, Nick.
Well, yeah, we are honoured by your presence.
Yeah,
this week.
So. Like 56 seconds before the first low blow comes in.
Have you basically realised that your little trick doesn't work anymore? Like, you know, you can after your pathetic performance in the podcast host league this week, you know,
kind of broke the streak of it. Yeah, the least said the better, to be honest, about this week. In fact, if you guys just want to talk about what happened this past week, I'll just let you talk amongst yourselves, and I'll sit here in silence for the next few minutes.
Mark, the floor is yours.
We doubled up, didn't we, Jack? I think we did. You double up, Nick?
No.
Okay. So yeah, we doubled up. I think in the pod league, Jack. I think was it on Sunday? I got within 30 points at some point or something like that. And there was like, even though you had extra golfer, there was like, you know, it was all Jim Carrey saying in the chant sort of thing, gift. And but no, you ran away with it, which is fair enough. You had 6 out of 6. I had 5 out of 6.
You did. I was getting a little bit nervous towards the end there. You had Sam Ryder in your lineup, didn't you?
Yeah.
The spaceman who decided to go nuclear on the Sunday, which was fine because I played him in Showdown and he won me a bit of dollar in the Showdown contest. So that was fine.
So when he wins you some money, Jack, you don't mind calling him a spaceman, do you?
No, I don't. But a very good week for me. I had a bit of a sweat for another $100 milli ticket. I know I was sort of speaking to you both that I really wanted to get that second one because I'm sick to death of my cash lineup outperforming my tournament lineups week to week. It drives me insane. So yeah, I kind of want to get. I wanted to have 2 lineups in that $100 mini maker contest, and I've got that now. Yeah, it was a good week though. Just 2 6s again. It would have been a lot better if Thomas Dietrich decided to actually play golf at the weekend and not do what I do, like, you know, shoot like an 11 over round on a Saturday. I don't know what he was playing at. I mean, he put me on full tilt, like Jordan Spieth tilt. That was it's such a bad process when you sort of blacklist players, but he really got close to a blacklist on Saturday. But yeah, no, good week. Loads of dollar earned, doubled up to King as usual. And yeah, the 6 of 6 in tournaments and the 6 and 6 in cash. So yeah, it was a good week. I wanted the cut to stay at 1 under. And it moved back to level par, didn't it, on the Friday quite late. If it stayed at 1 under, I think that obviously the 6 of 6 percentage would have been a lot less, and I would have been in a much better position and probably a lot more money. In the end, my tournament and cash line tournament line finished about 20 points behind the cash line, and I probably cost myself about $30 more than what I could have had in the end looking at it. But yeah, good week. We take it, we move on to the first major of the year, and it's going to be fun. Can't wait.
Just talking about his double ups a minute, Jack. Just shout out to favourite of the show, Trevor Werbelow. Another made cut. Reminds me a little bit of Rory in the fact that he only replays 3 rounds. But he's proven to be an amazing cash game play.
Yeah, and you know, back to Werbelow there, Mark. With you released your cut maker core last week. Sorry, for the Valero. Again, the newsletter come up trumps. My core went 3 for 3. Mark had 3 for 4 on the cut makers. You could have built a very nice lineup through it. Mark had the best value play on the board out of it, and you could have made a lot of dollar last week. You just follow the news there, and we bang on about it every week. It has been cash monies this year. Just sign up; it's completely free. Before Mark makes me charge for it next year.
We're all going behind a paywall. This whole video is going behind a paywall next year. Everything is, and it's not going to be $3.99, Jack.
Well, you're the podcast accountant, Mark. So you're in charge of that.
Rumor is there's already a projections spreadsheet that's been set up for optimal earnings of the show and newsletter that Matt copped in.
Yeah, I'm onto model version 7. I think at the moment of that. So.
Well, you mentioned about the double ups, Mark. The reason I didn't cash in double ups is because I actually went super light last week. I managed to get my the show league lineup in. I think I entered another contest, which was it was either a single entry or max 3 entry, and then I entered the listener league. Other than that, I didn't actually play much more last week. I just went super light, because I was very busy. This was actually one of the reasons why I wasn't on the show last week. I've actually now got a door on my kitchen at last, which is nice. Amongst other things in the kitchen, it's taking shape.
It's like Homes Under the Hammer here.
It literally is, honestly, like it's completely transformed. But
next to Dion Dublin.
I just didn't have that much time to put the research in, to be honest. So that's one of the reasons why I didn't play the double ups last week. That said, if I would have entered, I'm not convinced I would have cashed on them either way, because I think my league lineup had 4 through the cut line. No Corey Connors either, from what I recall. So I don't think I'd have been cashing there, to be honest.
I think you would have struggled last week because of that cut moving. If that cut had stayed at 1 under, then like you would probably been all right with 4 for 6 in double ups. But because it went back to level par, I just think it just killed everyone. Like even I got excited about my 6 for 6, and then it moved. I was like, oh god, this is going to be awful now, because there's going to be loads of people with 6 for 6s. So. Yeah.
Well, I don't want to dwell on last week too much, because this is the first major of the season. I want to talk as much as we possibly can about it. There's already some headlines going into the week. There's a lot of attention on the live guys, and I know you've been campaigning all day on the old Twitter machine, Jack, for Patrick Reed to win this event this week. But I want to spend as much time as we can on the Masters because it deserves that. And it is a phenomenal event. I know it's your favourite event, Jack. So I think it's only fair that Mark does the course preview this week.
Yeah, go for it.
Here we go. Here we go. 18 holes.
Yeah.
18 holes,
Some grass,
couple of bunkers.
some water.
Grass, flags.
Few trees, probably.
Yeah. Green jacket for the winner. No, Jack, if you could give us the rundown of what monster we are facing this week.
I mean, do I have to? Does this golf course need an introduction?
It needs an introduction, a much better one than Mark just gave it.
So the course is Augusta National, of course. We are in Augusta, Georgia. It is a Bobby Jones and Alistair Mackenzie design that was in 1933. It has some sort of redesigns done over the years by Tom Fazio. It's a par 72. It's 7,545 yards long. It's a lot longer than last year. You're going to find out why in a minute. There's water in play on 5 of the holes here. The fairways are ryegrass. The rough is ryegrass as well. And the greens, for the first time this year, we're going to get bent grass greens here. Now let's move on to the golf course itself. A bit about it. It's so some of the toughest and fastest greens found anywhere in the world here. They've got a sub-air system here, so they can dry this course out. I'm sure people have seen with the weather already this week. We're going to be in for some challenging weather. It looks like it's going to rain all 4 days by the looks of it at the minute. So just monitor that right up to sort of lock. And, you know, I've seen 2 sort of wave stacks switch both ways over the last 24 hours. So I'm just keeping an eye on that. Of course, the most famous of the 3 holes here is Amen Corner, 11, 12 and 13. 11 is a par 4. It's long. It's a dog leg to the right. It's got a lake in front of the green, like to the left of the green. So there's like a bailout area to the right, but the bailout area is a guaranteed bogey, and you obviously don't want to be going in the lake for obvious reasons on that hole. So that hole is actually one of my favourite holes on this golf course. It's more challenging than people give it credit for. It's a real challenge, that hole. Number 12 is a difficult par 3 with a small, narrow green. We've seen the championship won or lost on this hole many times. The wind in that area of the golf course does funny things. It changes direction. You've got the water in front of the green, obviously, in the bunker at the back of it. Jordan Spieth's famous collapse on that hole in 2016. I've seen Francesco Molinari put it in the water there when Tiger hunted him down in 2019. And then hole 13, which used to be an easy hole, but then Augusta National decided to spend a lot of money buying some land off the golf course behind Augusta National. So this hole has now been lengthened by about 30 yards because they've moved the tee box back. It's a par 5. It's a dog leg to the left. It was always a guaranteed birdie spot, this hole. We've seen some of the players come out already this week saying that they're going to lay up on it. Now they just cannot go for it in 2 anymore. I'm not sure I really like that. I kind of like the dramatic aspect of that because you've got Rays Creek in front of it as well. You know, when the golfers were going for it before, you know, a lot of, you know, the tournament could be won or lost on 12, but it could also be won or lost on 13. So I don't know if I like the aspect now of it being a false layup because, you know, I think it's just going to be a false layup and then it's just going to kind of turn into a chipping contest on that hole, which I don't know if I particularly like what they've done, but they've done it. They've lengthened that hole. As I mentioned, more about the golf course, wide open fairways here. There's not a lot of rough around this golf course. Obviously, we get the pine straw everywhere. We've seen Tiger's famous for going in the pine straw around here. Always goes in it on one of the holes. But yeah, my favourite golf course of the year. I love it. Every hole here is challenging. They're all named after flowers or trees. So yeah, I can't wait. I cannot wait. I don't really think it needs any more introduction. It's even if you're not the biggest golf fan in the world, you know Augusta National.
Yeah, absolutely. And the field this week is just, I mean, for anyone who's not aware of what it takes to actually qualify or play in the Masters, you're looking at the top 50 players in the world, PGA tournament winners, invitation, winning the Players' Championship. It's that kind of standard that you are looking at to actually play in this thing. So when we look at some of these golfers, I mean, you look at the ones that are packed around the top, and it's hard to split a lot of them. But even when you start getting to that sort of 7 and 6K range, there'll be some household names in there where you'll be thinking, oh my God, like some of these golfers are in the 8 and 9K range at other events. But that is how packed this field is. Just before we do actually look at the field, Jack, and obviously get onto your course key stats for both of you. Massive congrats as well for the win last week. I cannot believe I missed that on the show. Can't believe.
Thank you. Yeah, that was fun. That turned into a little bit of a sweat towards the end, but yeah, we got over the line. Yeah, happy, man. Very happy. It was
I jumped on the laptop thinking I'll catch the last bit of the show here. I jumped on, and you must have just finished, because I think last week's show clocked in at about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Finished just before it normally does, by about 10-15 minutes. And I jumped on, the stream had ended, and then obviously I read the messages and I was like, oh my God. But if nothing more, it has given us some really good meme / gift-worthy moments of you celebrating, of Mark's utter disgust at the language being used on the show.
well, I used it for the Graham Potter sacking, didn't I?
It is superb, brilliant. It's probably one of the best dances that I've ever seen, and I hope to one day emulate it.
Thanks, mate. It was good fun. Happy to take another one down. It's it's always good fun. I do love a good DFS for it. I'm hoping to have one in golf this week.
Yeah, you and me both. And what I've been able to secure for this week is a couple of tickets to the Millie contest as well, because the baseball is back, or as it's known in these parts of the world, rounders. It has returned. There is a lot of contests. The ones I've been winning on are literally just the $1 entry, and there's about 17 people in it. I've managed to secure myself a couple of the tickets for the $15 Millie. So fingers crossed, we'll both be rich men after the weekend, and Mark for that matter as well. Mark, your course key stats for Augusta.
I get it. Okay, so I think I've got these in order of importance. Course history, weighted stroke gains approach, weighted stroke gained around the green, driving distance, putting on fast greens, some fancy points gained, implied win percentage, birdie or better, and bogey avoidance. So a lot of standard stuff in there as well. Course history definitely important this week. So.
I'm going to assume as well, Mark, that I know you like the weighted strokes gained, as do I, but I'm going to assume you're going down that route because of how competitive the field is this week, and you want to kind of take those metrics into account because it's the best players.
Yeah, it's very rare I don't weight. It's very rare I use standard strokes gained. So yeah. Fair
enough. How many rounds for your model this week?
Oh, 32.
No, he's joined the dark side.
I've been doing that for a while. I just haven't told you, Jack. It's probably why we keep ending up on the same golfers.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
This is why we keep getting the same players now, Mark.
Exactly.
Jack, differences for you or a lot of similarities?
So mine is set over the last 32 rounds as well, unsurprisingly. Driving distance for me, very key stat around here. I think, you know, the extra length for this golf course now, if you can bomb it around here, I think you've got a very good chance for winning. Strokes gained approach, long-term proximity from 150 to 175, long-term proximity from 175 to 200. Strokes gained around the green, very key around here again. If you've got magic hands around the greens here, you're going to do very well. Look at Seve Ballesteros in the past. As much as I hate to say it, Jordan Spieth got magic hands around the green that put me on full tilt. But there you go, Tiger Woods. We've seen it with, you know, the famous chip in. We've all seen it. Strokes gained putting on bent grass greens. Strokes gained putting on fast greens because the greens here are very fast, and they can dry them out. Like I mentioned, even if there's a ton of water, they can dry these greens out with a sub-air system. Strokes gained putting inside 10 feet that we look at every week. Par 5 scoring, and then the comp courses I've got Augusta National. That's my most heaviest weighted one for the comp courses. Kapalua, because Kapalua's got the wide fairways. Kapalua is where the Tournament of the Champions is held in Hawaii at the start of the year. It's the one with the big wide fairway. So yeah, I like that here. Riviera, Tiger's Place, where the Genesis is, and Murrayfield Village are the comp courses I'm looking at here. That's it. Smallish model, not as big as I normally go, but I think I've got everything covered that I want covered this week in there.
Yeah, the putting on fast greens, I think this week, you like, for again, if you're fairly new to golf or first time listeners, you'll hear the term lag putting used quite a bit this week. These greens are 14, I think they measure on the stimp meter. So you're basically talking that these guys are putting on the equivalent of a snooker surface. It's going to be like ice for them. My local driving range the other week, I was having a little putt around, and he seemed to think that putting area was the speed of Augusta. I highly doubt that, having putted on it. And seeing how fast the ball was going, but very, very fast greens. Very, very similar kind of things on my model, to be honest. One stat I did just want to bring out of the cupboard, which I saw earlier on the Twitter, is that since 2009, par 5 scoring at the Masters has accounted for 72% of the winners' total scores. So those par 5s, obviously very critical, being that there's 4 around this course as well. That could play a factor this week.
Hole 2 will probably be the easiest of the par 5s now. Hole 2 is that one. It's a dog leg to the left, and then it sort of goes down the hill, and it's where they put the pin in that famous spot on the Sunday, don't they? They put it right down in the lower end of the green, and when you got guys hitting hybrid to the front of the green, it sort of curves around and rolls down the slope towards the hole. Just basically just type hole 2 Augusta National in YouTube, and you'll see what I mean by it. It's, that will probably play the easiest of the par 5s now, though.
Yeah. Let's have a look at some of these golfers then. Let's look at what the crop of the field is this week. So, unsurprising, really, I guess you could say, Scotty Scheffler is at the top of the pricing at 11,100. We've got Ram at 10,800. Rory, the Neely man around Augusta at 10,600. Do you know what? I'm going to go down to the bottom of the 9s here, because I feel like around this top, I mean, they are in a tier on their own, those 3, but then below that, the quality of golf is so good that I'm just going to drop down right to the low 9s. So then we've got Cameron Smith, Jordan Spieth, Patrick Cantlay, Justin Thomas, Max Homa, Colin Morikawa, and Xander Schauffele in order, going down to 9,000. I'll kick off with Mark first of all. Your pick of the bunch at this top end, Mark. Talk to me.
It'd be too boring to say Scheffler, Rahm, and McIlroy, wouldn't it? So it was far too easy to say that. But they do happen to be 1, 2, and 3, though somebody else is joint third as well. But actually, in this range, Xander Schauffele comes out highest rank for me across all my different models. Missed the cut last year, but he's got he had a real run the 3 years before that and stuff. And he hasn't missed a cut for a little bit. And he's actually comes out at 7th in my regular model. So I think and his ownership's not too high at the moment either. Not projected to be anyway. So
yeah, Jack, talk to me.
I mean, what's not to like in this range? There's so many good golfers in this range. I think my favourite will be Jon Rahm, unsurprisingly, as people know me. He's number 1 in the field with strokes gained putting on bent grass, which I like to see. He's the number 1 player within my model this week as well. The course history here is outstanding. I mean, there's 4 top 10s in the last 5 years at this place, and last year he obviously finished 27th. I mean, what's he got? He's got 5 wins on tour this year already. Obviously gone on a bit of a cooler the last sort of 3 tournaments. API, where he was first round leader, and then he just sort of tailed off. The Players' Championship, he withdrew with a stomach bug, and then he didn't get out of his group at the match play. I'm not really fussed about him not getting out of the group at his match play, to be honest. But just that's just a random event, to be fair. Hits the ball mile, which I like to see. He's currently 5th in this field for me on driving distance, which I like to see. Again, he's the number 1 player in my model. I think the top 3 there, Scheffler, Rahm, and Rory, will sort of condense each other with the ownership by the time it all finishes up, and I think they'll all be around about the same. Currently on the projected ownership, I've got Rahm as the highest, but I can see them sort of condensing each other and all coming in very, very similar range with the ownership. So if you're going to play one up there, for me, it will be Jon Rahm. I'm fading Scotty Scheffler, and I sort of mentioned it earlier about why, like, I would be doing it. The ownership obviously going to be one. I think he's going to get a lot of steam. There's a lot of when you're the reigning champion, Augusta, you have to do a lot of media work, a lot more. You obviously got to host the champions dinner and things like that. There's a lot of work that goes involved to being like the reigning champion at Augusta. But my main worry with Scotty is he loses strokes, a lot of strokes on bent grass greens. I know he won here last year on bent grass greens, but he's losing strokes over the last 32 rounds. I know putting can come and go, but you need to be a good putter around Augusta National. You have to be a good putter. And if this weather gets bad, I think I trust Jon Rahm and Rory more than I do Scotty.
That's fair. In terms of Rory, I mean, he after he had finished on the European Tour in Dubai, he came over, put in a couple of disappointing performances at Waste Management and Genesis, then finishes tied 2nd at the Arnold Palmer, misses the cut of the Players, but then put in a really good performance in the WGC match play, and was actually pretty much leading Cameron Young in his semi-final up until the last couple of holes, drops the ball, and Cameron Young sees it through. Scheffler, very similar in his matchup as well with Sam Burns. Obviously, the scripts were not read by anyone, because I feel like a lot of the golfing world did want to see the Rory and Scotty final. And it doesn't mean as much when it's basically a consolation runner-up game. But I feel like we're seeing more of the kind of Rory that we're accustomed to seeing. And there was obviously that talk recently that he'd got together with TaylorMade to talk driver changes, because he really wasn't getting on with the Stealth 2. But since then, I feel like we've seen him play some better golf. We certainly saw him drive the ball better at the WGC as well. It seems daft to ask the question, is there interest there? Because it's Rory McIlroy and he's come so close to winning this event so many times. But obviously you're on John Rahm, Jack, and unless you're going cheaper, and I know how you build your lineups and how many lineups you actually put in, but in terms of exposure to Rory, are you going to be going there? Exactly the same for you as well, Mark.
I'll play him in cash. So yeah, I'm gonna play a John Rahm build, and I'm gonna play a Rory McIlroy build probably. So yeah, he's going to be in my cash play. Do I think Rory wins this tournament? No, I think he gets in his own head. I think John Rahm will win the tournament. I really do. He's the best player for me. He's still the best player in the world. I don't care. Scotty's number one. John Rahm's the best player in the world for me. Rory just gets in his head. There's a lot of pressure comes on him. What I would worry with Rory is, let's say he was in contention on Sunday, and let's say, for instance, Dustin Johnson was in contention with him, then there becomes a different ball game altogether, because obviously he can complete the Grand Slam, Rory, and he also wants to stick it to Liv. But Dustin Johnson is a very, very good golfer, former Masters winner as well, and he won the Masters in similar conditions to what we're going to get this time out. I just worry with Rory mentally. I kind of mentioned, we'll get onto a golfer later to you earlier, Nick, about a golfer a bit lower down. I think he's just shot mentally when it comes to big tournaments like this, and I think Rory's shot. I really do. I don't think he can win this tournament. But I will play him in cash because I think he'll probably top 5. So I'll play him in cash.
Mark?
Yeah, if I'm playing 20 lineups, which I could end up doing, I'll each lineup will have, Scheffler, Rahm, or McIlroy in it. Yeah. 7, 7, and 6. Yeah, I don't see any problem with that. I can't particularly separate them out in my model. Actually, mine Scheffler's sort of, I say, way ahead of Rahm and McIlroy. If we're talking about really small numbers and stuff, but he does stick out a little bit ahead of it. But actually, my brain tells me John Rahm. I'd rather play John Rahm out of the 3 as well. And we've done pretty well playing him this year, haven't we? So
yeah, I'm not going off him now. No way. This is where I think there's going to be a coming out party, and I'm not going off of him.
I also wonder if he's just been focusing on this for the last month or so, and that explains some of what's been going on.
Yeah, but the illness at the players, is what it is. And as I said, I'm not worried about the match play. The match play is just weird, and I mean, look at some of the guys that come out of the groups. We mentioned this last week. Some of the guys that come out of the groups there, it's just weird. Weird things happen at match play. So I'm not worried about the match play either. The API would probably be the only one that I'd have a bit of concern about, because he was overnight leader, he was a first round leader, and then he just sort of melted down after that. But that can easily happen at the API as well. That's a tough golf course, Bay Hill. So things like that can easily happen. But I mean, before that, he was just on an absolute tear and a heater. So, and he's going back to a putting surface he loves.
Yeah. The last name I did want to mention in this range before we move on to the 8K guys is Cameron Smith, obviously Live Tour player. This time last year, comes into this event massively on form. Won the Arnold Palmer, was it, in the build-up?
One of the players.
Yeah. Comes into the Masters. Looks like he's in pole position on the last day to actually win it, and goes and puts his tee shot in the water. Was it on the 12th? And just implodes from that point. end up finishing tied 10th, but was in a very good position on that last day. And a lot of people's favourite to actually go on and win it at that stage before, obviously, Scheffler surged.
He finished tied third last year. Sorry.
What was that?
He finished tied third last year. Sorry.
Oh, was he tied third in this?
He was tied third last year.
10th on here.
No, he was 10th in 2021.
I'm looking too far back then. Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah. Well, I think he was outright third, actually. Yeah, outright third.
There you go.
So, Cameron Smith, I feel like what we've seen of him, the limited golf we've seen of him recently, he's not really started the year. He's not really hit the ground running. Any interest there, given we know what player is there? We know that he's had some good finishes on this track in the past. Course history is fantastic, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
But I feel like he's not really being mentioned much this week.
Great course history, but there is a rumor flying around that he's got some sort of wrist injury, which is kind of explains what he's been doing on Live, which is basically finishing dead last in Enfields, pretty much. So yeah, I would worry about it. I don't think I'm going to play Cameron Smith in DFS. I'm just going to bet him. I see his number moving out a little bit more now, so I'm just going to bet him and I'll just go with that. If he wins, great, I'll win the bet. If he and I'll probably have a bad week in DFS if he wins. If he doesn't, then my DFS lineups will be okay. So I'm that's the way I would approach Cameron Smith. Just before we do move on, Justin Thomas, me and Mark were talking about this. His course history here is ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. Been looking
his ownership as well. He's currently projected the lowest owned in this 9K range. I get it. The putting's not been great, but I've just done a little bit of a deeper dive into him. This is actually a very good putting surface for Justin Thomas. He putts very well on bent grass. Better than what he does on Bermuda and things like that. But he putts okay on bent grass. He's obviously got Bones on the bag, who's won this twice with Phil Mickelson in the past. I think he's a very sneaky tournament player at that low ownership, and I think I'm going to play him at that. If he's going to come in at that projected ownership with the course history that he has here, and he offers the upside. He is someone that can win this tournament, Justin Thomas. I think I'm going to play him in tournaments.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And I think despite his putting looking poor, everywhere else recently has looked a little bit more like Justin Thomas. Like his strokes gained tee to green in his last few events have been 5 and over. It was actually 7 at Valspar where he finished tied 10th. Gaining strokes on approach still. Around the green.
Oh, he's magic around the green.
Yeah, love what I'm seeing there. And, he's always been a strong player there. So the putting yips, as it were, we saw the slow motion the other week and it was nigh on Will Zalatoris kind of slow motion. Like putting stroke, it looked really awkward. But that said, as you've just mentioned, Jack, if this is a preferred surface, and I don't think the strokes game putting is as much of an issue here. It's more that speed of putting and the lag putting and the reading of the greens. It's a hard place to go around and one putt everywhere. It really is. So, I quite like that play this week. I fancy Justin Thomas as a bet, to be honest.
Yeah,
because I've liked what I've seen from him in his more recent events. But like you said, the course history really is good. And he feels like he's... we've not seen Justin Thomas win for a little while. It feels like he's due.
Yeah. No, definitely. I think he's a great tournament player. I'm considering locking him into my tournament lineups this week.
Let's move on to these 8Ks then. I think that's the longest that we've ever spent at the top of the board, but well deserved. Let's have a look at these 8K guys then. So top of the shop, we've got Tony Finau, we've got Dustin Johnson, Jason Day, who's been playing fantastic golf recently. 12 months ago, you wouldn't have said Jason Day would be this high up on the pricing, but, here we are, who'd have thought. Cameron Young, Victor Hovland, Hideki Matsuyama, former winner, Sam Burns, Will Zalatoris, Sung Jae Im, and Matthew Fitzpatrick round out the 8Ks. Jack, I'll come to you first on this one. I've an inkling I know which name you're going to pick out, but fire away.
There's actually two guys I like here. I'll start with the first one. It's Cameron Young. I think Cameron Young is going to win this golf tournament if it's not John Rahm. Reason being, obviously, he's had a change of caddy recently to Webb Simpson's caddy. Webb Simpson, very good around Augusta National back in the day. Never won it, but very good. So the caddy will know the place like the back of his hand. Cameron Young himself has seen it twice. He missed the cut in... he's only seen it once. He missed the cut last year, which, is fine. It's easy to miss the cut as a debutant around Augusta National. But we've seen what Cameron Young can do in major fields. I mean, I think he was 4th or 5th at the Open last year from memory. He was up there, wasn't he? Come the end of it.
I think he might have even finished second to Smith because Hovland and McIlroy both dropped shots towards the end, so he might have even finished second.
Yeah, he may well have. I can't remember, to be honest. I've got terrible. But he was second at the match play. Obviously, lost to Sam Burns in the final. I like the 10th for API as well. The players, I just don't like that tournament. I kind of write it off. But he was 10th for API, which is a tough golf course. Bay Hill, similar to this. This is going to be a tough golf course this week. He's in good form. I like what I'm seeing from him. Strokes gained on the approach. He's doing well out. He bombs. He's actually 3rd in this field on driving distance, which is going to be, very, very favourable in the conditions that we're going to see this week. And he's $100 less than chalk Jason Day. You're going to get lower ownership at a lower price, and for me, Cameron Young is a better golfer than Jason Day is. I love what Jason Day's doing and the comeback that we're seeing, but I think I'm going to lock Cameron Young in, and probably some Hideki Matsuyama. I can't get away from Hideki, and I was just saying to Mark before we come on tonight, the course history here for Hideki is just out of this world as well. He's obviously a former Masters champion. And his recent form has been relatively good. People obviously are very put off by this neck injury that he's got ongoing, but he was 15th last week, played all 4 days. And he's even gaining strokes with a putter now. And that's all you need from Hideki, really.
Yeah, Hideki is... I keep going to him in this range. And I kind of hate myself a little bit for it because... I feel like like you said, Jack, 4 rounds we got out of him last week, but I've been burned several times by him.
Yeah.
But
I think he's a tournament player. It's not, you can't play him in cash.
I agree. And I mean, the ownership is looking really appealing. I think the fact that he's carried that injury will definitely put people off. But the course history is just phenomenal. And something not to be ignored there. He ticks quite a few boxes in the key kind of stat categories as well. Like the tee to green and around the greens and stuff like that. His name pops up quite a lot. Mark, is it similar for you, or are you?
I've got interest in all these players. I just a little bit the same reasons as Jack's talking. Ownership is making me interested in Will Zalatoris and Matt Fitzpatrick. If Matt Fitzpatrick is really going to be under 7% owned or something, that would be mad. Absolutely mad. I know nobody likes watching Will Zalatoris, but, amazing course history. It's like last 2 years. I love that. Tony Finau actually is the highest ranked player for me in my statistical rankings in the 8Ks. So yeah, lots of options here. I could definitely build a lineup with 4 or 5 guys in the 8Ks.
Yeah.
And be quite happy with that.
Again, another former winner here back in 2020 and really good course history. Dustin Johnson. We know he's long off the tee. He has carried his form over to Live, so he's actually won a couple of Live events since he moved over there. Most recently played the event in Orlando and finished 7th there. Is there any interest in DJ this week from either of you?
Not for me. I think he's still on the way back. He withdrew from that Saudi event at the start of the year. So I don't know if he's fully over his injury woes or anything like that. And I don't know what it is with DJ. He just doesn't. I saw one of his interviews the other day. He just doesn't care. Like he literally doesn't care. I just because I still think he's on his way back from some sort of injury, I'm probably going to avoid DJ, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think any Live guys have turned up in my player pool. That isn't a deliberate effort or anything. I just think it's just uncertainty, isn't it?
I think what's difficult is, we look at the stats, and though you've got your total strokes with the Live guys, we're just not getting the metrics across the board, which is a shame. But that said, I'm kind of with you, Mark, in that none of the Live guys are really all that appealing for me this week. Matt Fitzpatrick's an interesting one that you mentioned because his course history is pretty good round here as well.
Yeah.
So if you're getting him at that ownership at that price, definitely worth consideration, I think.
We know he can win.
Yeah.
Not here, but we know he can win. So.
Oh yeah. Well, we know he can win on American soil as well. That's key.
Yeah.
Inarguably tougher conditions than this. I know this is a very tough course, but it's winning a US Open is not easy. So let's have a look at these 7K guys. I'm not going to list them all because there is a lot. There's an awful lot. But one name that I am just going to mention right at the top there is Tyrrell Hatton, who several weeks ago I was really looking forward to coming into this event and just not so much anymore. I just don't think he's got it between his ears.
He hates this golf course. He cannot play him here.
I think I remember seeing a comment last year that he couldn't wait to get off the course on the 4th day because he was just like fed up, like he was gutted that he'd even made the cut after day 2. So I just, as consistent as he's been this season so far, he actually went and missed the cut of the Valero Texas Open. So maybe that is a sign of things to come. I just wanted to give a special mention there for Tyrrell Hatton. How glorious would it be, though, to see Tyrrell Hatton win a green jacket? You see how much he curses as he's going around the course and he's hacking away at bunkers and generally just cursing all the way around, talking to himself. To actually see it, he'd probably be swearing as someone's putting the green jacket on him. I would just love to see it. 7K range then, Mark, I'll come to you first because I'm sure you'll have plenty to say in this range, Jack. But your 7K guys, Mark, your favourites of the bunch.
So it's quite funny. I've already done my Cupmaker article for the newsletter this week. And it's a little bit different this week because there's no point just trying to choose Cupmakers because like so many players made the cut. I think it's relatively easy to choose Cupmakers this week. But actually, just doing some extra research while I was waiting to start the show, and there's a guy I've not put in there who suddenly I'm quite interested in. That's Keith Mitchell at 7-1. And for his price, he's 22nd in my overall rankings, which it's nobody else is even close around this price. So I think he's offers good value. We know about his distance, etc. He's been in pretty decent form. Last 4, he's made the cut. He's had a second in that time as well. I'm There's others in the sevens which are in the newsletter. You'll need to sign up to find out who they are. Yeah.
Jack.
My favourite one in the 7K range is Justin Rose, 7,800. His course history is ridiculous. He obviously had the playoff loss to Sergio in 2017. Missed the cut last year, but he was in bad form last year. He was 7th the year before that as well. So, I mean, there's loads of top 10s and top 20 performances here from Justin Rose. He knows this place like the back of his hand. Recent form is pretty good as well. Obviously, he had the win, didn't he, at Pebble Beach? He was 6th at the Players as well. As much as I don't like the Players tournament, that's a standout performance from Justin Rose at the Players Championship, where all the best players turn up. He actually also he ranks 12th in my model overall, but he actually ranks 5th in strokes gained putting on bent grass greens. So clearly a surface he loves. Again, we just know he loves his play. So he's my favourite golfer in this 7K range this week. And he'll come in lower owned because everyone's going to go to Corey Connors. And I get it. The course history here with Corey Connors is great. But Corey, I don't think Corey Connors can go back to back. And at that ownership, I'm just going to fade him and play other guys around him.
Yeah, that's fair. I feel like we asked the same question last year and it was the same answer. But it would be remiss of me not to mention his name, given that it's Masters Week and he's in the field. Tiger Woods. I know that you're betting on him to make the cut, Jack. But we've got a big discount here on him, 7,300. Is there any interest from either of you on the great Tiger Woods?
I would have played him if the weather was fine. I think the weather being cold and wet and miserable is going to be a big disadvantage to Tiger this week. So, he's a fade for me in DFS. I'm just going to bet him to make the cut, and I don't really like that now with this weather system coming in.
Yeah,
I'm not playing him. I have less faith than Jack does in him.
That's fair.
He always makes the cut.
There's quite a few golfers down this range, really, when you're looking at, Justin Rose is a prime example of a golfer who goes around Augusta really well. I mean, we missed the cut last year, but normally really good around Augusta. Shane Lowry had a good year here last year. Corey Connors, you've just mentioned there, Jack. Tommy Fleetwood's done pretty well here as well in the past. His kind of game, I guess, suits that long irons. Reasonably okay off the tee, but not super long. But really good around the greens. So Tommy Fleetwood appeals a little bit there as well. But one of the golfers in this range, and he played the Masters last year and finished 14th. But I've liked him for weeks and weeks. Is Min-Woo Lee. He's on my radar at this price. And again, I think Min-Woo Lee, I don't know how much I'll have of him in terms of ownership in this, but I'll certainly be betting Min-Woo Lee this week, I think, because you've got some decent odds there on him. But I think he's another that has the game to go well round Augusta. So I do quite like this 7K range. I think you can build a really strong lineup if you're kind of just picking a few guys from this range and then venturing back up to the top again, which is probably what a lot of people will do. I don't think I'll be venturing much lower than this week, but is there anyone any lower than 7K that you wanted to give a special mention to before we start building some lineups?
Well, we've got a question there, trying to find some cheap players. What do you guys think about Stracker and Henley?
If you're paying down for a Sepp Stracker, I mean, what is his price?
He's 6'3".
I don't mind Henley at the price.
Yeah, I don't mind I'd probably try and find a little bit extra though, and maybe go a little bit further up. And
Yeah, I'm not playing Stracker. I'll just play KH Lee at that price. I know he's not been playing particularly well at the minute, but KH Lee offers winning upside. I don't think Stracker can win in this field. I'd rather just play KH Lee at the extra 100. That's me personally.
I think if you can find the extra, that's a good shout. I think Gary Woodland isn't a bad shout. He's long off the tee.
Kevin Na's got ridiculous course history here. Played it 4 times, made the cut 4 times, finished inside the top 15 the last 3 years. So he's obviously on live now, so you're not going to get any stats to work with Kevin Na at the minute. But he's a player down there that you could probably use as well.
Yeah,
I don't think he needs to come into this range, personally.
Me neither. Is that the same for you, Mark, or is there anyone specifically down here?
No, there's nobody particular. I mean,
we're going to say the same one, aren't we?
It's just all of a bad bunch and stuff. I mean, if I was forced to use somebody, just a minute, I think no, it wouldn't be him. No, I'm just.
Say it.
No, I'm not saying it. I'm not saying anything because I don't really want to play anybody in the 6s if I can avoid it.
I'll tell you what, Willett's not a bad play. Willett's made like 4 cuts on the trot now. Was 12th here last year. The conditions get tough. If it doesn't get to like a ridiculous 13 under, Willett, I don't mind Willett there at 6-6. I'll say it because no one else will. Cameron Champ. Don't look at the recent.
I knew it was coming.
Just don't look at the recent form, but just look at his Masters form. 10th last year, which is how he's got back in this field. He was 26th the year before and 19th the year before that. I mean, the course history here is ridiculous. He bombs it a mile off the tee as well, Cameron Champ. Can't really get into trouble off the tee around here. Like, it's hard to find trouble off the tee. So, yeah, I don't mind him. Ryan Fox,
4
maybe.
miscuts though. 4 miscuts.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, it's boom or bust. Cameron Champ is a like tournament GPP play, and that is it. You don't play him. You do not play him in cash. Ryan Fox, maybe. There's a couple of guys down there you could use. I don't like the range.
The thing about this range is, there are guys there who have projected more ownership than say Shane Lowry or something like that.
Yeah,
and the main reason to make yourself go down there is to get somehow different. So one for example, try and play two of the highest priced players, and you do that. The idea of getting difference, so you have to go down the 6s, but you don't need to go in the 6s to get difference because like Fitzpatrick is like under 7%, Shane Lowry under 5% projected ownership. You can have quality players who can win stuff and still be different.
Yeah. Sandy Lyle at 6K for anyone?
No. Don't play any of them old guys. If you do, you're just throwing your money down the drain.
But you say don't play them. Showdown, day 1. It's always one of these old guys ends up at the top there.
It's Bernard Langer or Freddie Couples. That's it.
There's always one of them ends up at the top there, doesn't there? Showdown, I'd be playing one of them.
Yeah, Bernard Langer or Freddie Couples. That's it.
Yeah, or John Daly. I feel like I know he's not in this field this year, but John Daly, I feel like the other year was going round all right. Was having a good knock on day 1.
Throwing money down the drain.
Let's build some lineups and let's get away from Sandy Lyle and Co down there. Right, so I think there was a fairly unanimous shout on John Ram. So I'm going to start off with a John Ram build. Mm-hmm. I think if we come down to, we'll start at the 7Ks.
Lowry at 7-9.
I like Lowry at that price. Yeah.
If we can get another cheaper 7-gate guy in, we can go up into the 8s, couldn't we?
Yeah.
I didn't mention it actually. I quite like Fagala. He offers so much like birdie upside. He gets loads of birdies, but he's a debutant here, which would worry me a little bit. But
what about your man Patrick Reed at 7-3?
You could play Patrick Reed. We didn't mention him. I'm quite. I probably will play Patrick Reed this week in DFS. Quite happy to. Course history is ridiculous, very good. Won it obviously before, And I mean, I think he'd love to be in contention come Sunday.
He would. Imagine
happy?
it's the last group with Rory or something like that.
Oh, I'd love it. I would love it. Yeah. Do you want to play Patrick Reed?
He's in.
Yeah, we'll throw him in. He's cheap enough.
So what's that? Sets for 8K.
Do you want to come down to Killer Keith and then we can attack some of these 8K guys?
Yeah, why not?
Throwing Killer Keith. And then we're back up. I mean, you've got some choices here because you could go Fitzpatrick and Hideki.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I'm a little bit worried because this is quite all sort of low ownership here. So I'm a little bit worried jamming them all in together like that.
Or you could go Cameron
Fitzpatrick and Tony Finau. Then you've got a 20% owned player in there.
Can you do that?
Yeah, you can.
Do that.
Yeah, I don't hate that. Yeah, you could do that. Yeah, that I don't hate at all.
Tony Finau and Matt Fitzpatrick. Yeah. Like that.
Do you want to try and do like a JT lineup, maybe quickly?
Yeah, I like that. Whoa, what am I doing here?
Yeah, enter it, Nick. Spend all the money.
Imagine if that was the optimal lineup. JT, I'm going to throw Cameron Young into this one.
Okay.
We'll come down a little bit. Justin Rose, maybe.
Yeah, you could stick Rosie in this one.
Throw in Rose.
Stick a Decky for the low ownership into this one if you want.
Yeah.
Cameron Young's going to be popular anyway.
Hideki Matsuyama. Come down a little bit, maybe.
Minwoo, you want to stick your boy Minwoo in?
Yeah, I'm going to put Minwoo in. And then we're back up at 8-3. So we're kind of at that Fitzpatrick Lowry kind of range again, unless you want to throw in Zalatoris. I know you liked a bit of Willie Z, Mark.
Sung Jae will be popular for high ownership in this range as well.
Yeah.
The plodder.
I'm going to put Willie Z in just for a bit of...
The plodder with a top 10 last year.
He can't win this tournament.
And second in 2020.
He's not going to win this tournament.
Well, probably not. But he doesn't need to at 8-1, does he? Doesn't need to win it.
Last build I want to do is just see if we can get a couple of these top guys in. Let's get Rory and Ram in. I mean, we're going to have to come down into the sixes.
We're going to Fred couples, aren't we?
Let's get into the sixes first. Let's put...
Are we putting Cameron Champ in?
No, not in this one. I didn't mention actually. I don't mind Moronk either. He's a bomber off the tee, but he's a debutant. Stick Danny Willett in this one. That's sort of. I think that's a safe play, Danny Willett. As safe as it can be in that range, anyway.
Let's us go up a little bit. So
you could stick in. I don't mind Chris Kirk. I don't know about you boys. Didn't mention him on the show, but good iron player. Obviously won recently. Was good last week at Valero.
So if we throw Kirk in, lets us go up a little bit more. That I feel like we're kind of putting Patrick Reed back in here. We're back at 7-6.
What about sticking Siwoo in at 7-4, and then that takes you up to 7-5. Don't put Reed in. That takes you to 7-5. You can put Fagala in, who offers a lot of birdie upside. No?
That's good. The ownership on Thigala is tiny as well.
He offers a lot of birdie upside as well. It makes a lot of birdies. I know he's a debutant. I quite like that lineup.
That shows you can make that top heavy build. You've just got to get a little bit cheap and get a bit different in the 7Ks. But I don't hate that. There's a couple that I'd probably change, but nothing major.
We'll go down to Freddie Couples. It's like,
get Freddie in. Start a lineup with Freddie, Bernard Langer, and Vijay Singh.
Oh dear, wasting your money.
That is winning. Well, I think that rounds us off for the week nicely, gents. Where can the listeners find you on the socials?
I'm at _ SMRF on the Twitter.
You can find me at Jack Humphrey DFS on the Twitter, and the newsletter will be out tomorrow.
Nice. Again, not too late to subscribe to Jack's tracker as well, if you've not done already. There's still a lot of the golf season left, and there's going to be some events coming up where it will absolutely come in handy. Everyone enjoy the Masters this week. Phenomenal event, and I can't wait to sit in front of the TV for hours and hours on end over the Easter weekend and just soak up the golf. Yeah, nothing more to it than that. Drivers are actually for dough this week, and the putt. Well, no, everything's for dough this week. Drivers, putters, everything is for dough. We will see you next Tuesday. I like how you signed off with that last week, Mark. The alternate.
Inspired.
Yeah. See you next Tuesday.
Let's take down the Millie.
Yeah, boy.